Our presentation, Literacy Across the School Day, by myself, Christina Hansen, and Jocelyn Horvath. Both Jocelyn and I see content and disciplinary literacy reflected in the subjects that we teach throughout the school day. We teach and implement reading comprehension strategies as well as disciplinary reading practices with our first and second grade students in reading, writing, wordplay, science, social studies, and social emotional learning. The reading comprehension strategies that we teach include, but are not limited to, making predictions, asking and answering questions, inferring, and summarizing. The disciplinary reading practices that we teach include understanding and utilizing text features, understanding text structures, learning specialized vocabulary, and understanding the types of language used to communicate. As first and second grade teachers, we teach our students many basic reading strategies to help them better understand various texts. At the beginning of first grade, Jocelyn starts by introducing basic decoding strategies such as eagle eyes, using the details in picture illustration to figure out a tricky word, or chunky monkey, looking for similar chunks of a word that we know. Throughout the day, students will use these strategies to comprehend various texts. We also teach our students basic strategies such as summarizing, making predictions, asking and answering questions, making inferences, making connections to the real world to better understand various texts. We use these reading comprehension strategies throughout our school day. In the early grades, such as first and second, it is important that our students are reading about things they are interested in to help them connect to their funds of knowledge and linguistic and cultural backgrounds. Mark Arson said, "You read what you're interested in, what matters enough to you to decode." He argues that students will engage with a text and persevere through comprehension difficulties if the text is interesting enough to that reader. We both agree and have observed the power of engaging topics time and time again. Jocelyn finds that her first graders gravitate more toward our nonfiction books than fiction books and are much more determined to utilize disciplinary reading practices to help them when they are struggling. For example, students learn about various text features and how they can use those text features to better comprehend a text. If they are looking to learn more about a specific topic, students can use the table of contents, headings, subheadings to navigate the text and find the information they are looking for. Students are more motivated to utilize disciplinary reading practices if they are interested in the text they are exploring. Collaborative strategic reading. There are 3 stages to this. The previous stage is utilized before reading. And during this stage is when Jocelyn and I have the students look at the cover, look at the illustrations throughout the book to help activate their prior knowledge. We will then ask questions to help them make predictions, review vocabulary, state the author's purpose, and the genre of the story. The second stage is referred to as click and clunk, but I like to refer to this stage as chunking. It's during this stage that students are reading, and as they're reading, they might come across a word that they are struggling with. And so we have them skip the word, and then when they get to the end of the page, we have them go back to that sentence and reread the sentence and see if they can use context clues before and afterwards. Maybe look at the illustrations, maybe break up the word, looking for the root word to help them figure out what that word is that they were struggling with. The last phase is called the wrap-up stage, and this is done after the reading is complete. This is where we engage the students in questioning and summarizing strategies. This is also where we have the students make connections from the text to the real world. Funds of knowledge is getting to know the whole child. As Moll has stated, it is capitalizing on the household and other community resources. It can help organize the classroom instruction and far exceeds in quality the rote-like instruction the children are commonly encounter in schools. So the rote-like instruction is similar to what we had when we were growing up, probably. Now it's more important to get to know the child, getting to know the family, getting to know their background, getting to know the neighborhood, the community. If there's different languages that are spoken at home, where the children live, maybe doing a home visit, where the parents work, if they celebrate holidays, what their religions are, just getting to know the whole child. Some ideas that educators have utilized in getting to know the getting to know your students is both Jocelyn and I know, have sent out interest surveys at the beginning of the year, questionnaires. I know myself have done home visits. You can do observations in the classroom, parent-teacher conferences. You can have discussions, parent-teacher conferences, and also in your classroom. Why is activating prior knowledge important? Well, I find it important is especially when before you start reading a text, I find that it increases student engagement and increases their comprehension. It makes a connection from the text to the real world. It helps build that funds of knowledge. Haddon says that a lot of teachers make the mistake by just activating prior knowledge before reading, but it's important to do it during reading and continue after the readings. What is social and emotional learning? Well, according to NCSL, social emotional learning refers to a wide range of skills, attitudes, and behaviors that can affect a student's success in school and life. It affects their critical thinking, managing their emotions, working through conflicts, decision making, and teamwork. I know from past experiences, I've had kids that have had so much trauma in their lives that they don't trust anyone, from adults to peers. So trying to do teamwork has been very difficult for them. So I have done engaging and fun activities in my classroom to help make them feel more comfortable in the classroom and bring them in to our classroom environment. How do I manage attitudes and behaviors in my classroom? Well, the first thing is getting to know your students, funds of knowledge, their interests, their backgrounds, so you can be more proactive and know when they're having problems in the classroom, when they're struggling, when they're going to, have an emotional blow up. To be proactive. Also, in my classroom, I have a calming center. And in that calming center, the students can go in, they can set a timer, they can read, they can draw, they can write, they can build things, they can play with stress balls, they can even take a nap, whatever they need to help calm them down. I also have taught yoga in my classrooms. I find this helps with the breathing techniques, and especially with ADHD kids, making the connection between the left and right hemisphere. Also, when students come to talk to me, I listen. I don't judge. I don't try to give my advice. I'm just a person there to listen to them. And another thing is to stay positive and empathetic. Educators can design their instruction and assessment practices to best support student-centered literacy by following these guidelines. Utilize students' funds and knowledge and cultural and linguistic backgrounds in the content you teach. Include thoughtful student groupings. Create authentic opportunities for your students to engage with. Use a range of curriculum texts and materials. Dr. Ernest Morrell said, "There is a disconnect in a lot of classrooms between what kids really like to do and what they're being asked to do inside of that classroom. As educators, we need to bridge that gap between what we are teaching and expecting our students to do and what they actually are interested in and have background knowledge of. Our students have rich backgrounds full of valuable experiences, and it is up to us if we utilize that to better engage them with both content area and disciplinary literacy practices." Thinking back to Kane's Arcade, Kane had rich literacy experiences outside of the school while creating and working on his arcade. Kane's teachers could have utilized his interest in his arcade to teach various concepts. Similarly, all educators should utilize students' funds and knowledge and linguistic and cultural backgrounds to best engage them in literacy learning. Creating opportunities for students to collaborate is another way in which educators can support student-centered literacy. One grouping strategy to consider is CSR, which essentially provides reading intervention for all students as previously discussed. CSR is especially beneficial for struggling readers, as working with peers allows students the non-threatening opportunity to learn from each other. CSR fosters cooperation, builds students' confidence and self-esteem, and students working with CSR are more engaged. To best support student-centered literacy, educators should create authentic activity and assessment opportunities. To ensure that your assessments are authentic, follow Bronzos guidelines about assessment of literacy and learning. Assessment is continuously and informs about student learning. It's ongoing and should provide feedback for your instruction. Assessment should use multiple contexts. No single test can give us all the information we need to know about our students. We should be assessing constantly and in varying ways. Assessments involve students. Students should assess in creating assessments, assist in creating rubrics, and use them in self-assessing. Assessments should include students' interests, attitudes, and beliefs. Just as students are more engaged in the text that they read if they are interested in the topic, students will perform much better on assessments if their interests, beliefs, and backgrounds are represented in those assessments. Teachers should be utilizing a range of curriculum texts and materials throughout the day to best support student-centered literacy. As Dr. Timothy Shannon asserts, stories are great, but a narrow diet of stories alone can make you sick. Our students crave other text types. We should utilize fiction stories, nonfiction readers, websites, web recipe books, comic books, videos, songs, podcasts, student-made books, in order to provide our students with the opportunities to make connections to their interests, funds of knowledge, and cultural and linguistic backgrounds. Christina and I both added a variety of text types to our unit of study to best support our students. For example, Jocelyn in her unit of study relied heavily on print nonfiction books and very little other types. She was able to expand by finding digital recipes, videos, and student-made books, and more. And for my unit of study, I was able to expand by adding flip books, more videos, songs, podcasts, those sorts of things. We have added a page of resources that you can find here for reading math, science, and social studies. So that lists a bunch of different resources. Story Online is a great reading resource if students want the stories read to them. It's done by actors and actresses. Epic.com is like a reading library. So you could set it as like AR readings or Lexile. You can pick books that are more diverse for the students. Books.com is another reading resource. Math, Prodigy, Dreambox, Science, Mystery Science, Generations Genius, and Social Studies, Discovery Education, and Kids National Geographic. Both of these resources are good if you are remote learning and you want to do virtual field trips. And here we have our list of references. So I hope that you enjoyed our presentation and that you have learned something about literacy across your school day. Thank you.